Hey everybody, welcome to another model building workshop. I'm Mr. Allen. I'm coming to you from my basement workshop here in Providence, Rhode Island on behalf of the Community Libraries of Providence. Here in my little basement workshop in this very small cramped spot. Probably Bob Cratchit probably sat here once working on stuff for all I know. We're going to be looking at different types of paint for the North African campaign from the Deutsches Afrika Korps, the German Afrika Korps. So this is one set here. This is from AV Vallejo, out of Spain, I believe. And this is a camouflage colors. Is kind of a modulation set where you can do different types to get that kind of an effect with it. So let's see what's in the box here. Because in a recent video we were talking about this guy here, the Tiger 1 from Metallerie as it shows up in North Africa. And this one is sporting a green paint. Kaplunk. So let's have a look. If I can get this to let go. So we get a bunch of different colors here, and these are Model Air. So these are designed for airbrushing. So we have several different colors here. We have a matte varnish, and the rest of these are kind of numbered. Shows you on the bottom there what colors they are. So they're telling you to paint the entire model with a base coat, basically like a Panzer Gray, the surface primer they're calling it here. It looks almost like Panzer Gray. And then they want an even coat of this camouflage brown color next. And then they want the sand yellow as a highlight on the center of the panels. And then as an option, you can add camouflage and markings, and then add some of this, what is this, like a camouflage gray color to cover 1/3 of the vehicle. So that's an option there, just on the front. So that type of a camo. Or you could do with green, and then you put a nice varnish over it. So this set is designed to kind of be an all-in-one, so you could do this whole effect. So that's one way you can do this kit. There's another set here, and there's many other things you could do here as well, but let's got a few. There's another set also from AV Model Air, Vallejo, and this is, you can see the price on that. From a Rhode Island shop. And this has a bunch of different colors in it. This is slightly different in that you have the RAL numbers on it. You know, the German Reich official paint tones are here. So they're listed. And on the back, you have the different things you can do with it. Now, to be honest, I have not experimented with Vallejo paints as of yet. I know a lot of you are thinking, what, really? And it's true, I haven't really got into these yet because I'm kind of old school. As you can see, I have a plethora of Tamiya and some Model Master paints here because, you know, like I said, I'm old school. I'm kind of using old stuff, and I'm trying to see what some of these new things are and what they're like. So, all right, so in this set, you have the brown color, a gray, a gel brown or yellow brown, a gray grun, or gray green, and olive grun, and dunkelgrau, or dark gray, olive green. So this would be the olive green color. Which number is this one? 6003. So that's probably the color that they're speculating that the Tiger was in Tunisia. or some of them, like that Tallery kit. So there's some debate as to what shade was used when. If you're going with enamel and the old Model Masters, you've got a series of paints for North Africa as well, like his Afrika Grun Brown from 1941. What's nice about what they're doing, and Tamiya as well now, is that they put the date of when in the campaign this color was in use. So this is early 1941, shortly after they get into Tripoli and Libya. You know, they show up in, whoops, I've got company. Fun with basements. Yeah, so shortly after they land, they land, all the vehicles are remnants or taken from the 3rd Panzer Division, and they're all in Panzer Gray, you know, and they start to convert them into the tans with that color there. In 42, you get an Afrika brown color, which is this shade, which I thought, well, I thought this wasn't too bad for like an Afrika brown color. This is just something I did on my own account. This is the Tamiya AS15 tan USAF, more modern color, but I didn't think that was too bad. But you be the judge for an Afrika brown color. Anyway, moving on. This is the Dunkelgrau 42. So this is like that camouflage one we're looking at here. But they have this one also in the enamel from Model Master. And lastly, this is khaki brown 41. So another color early on. So there's that set of paints you could do too. And then Tamiya has some of their own, and there's an example here of a light brown DAK 1942. So these are newer paints, the smaller bottles, and it gives you that kind of look. And I didn't think that one was too bad as an option, but, you know, and some say the desert yellow color from way back when with Tamiya is usable also. But these are things you can play around with, you know, and figure out. So there's a lot of different options now for what paints you can use for the Afrika Korps, where for a long time there kind of wasn't any options. You kind of had to figure it out on your own. And looking back at this book again, we looked at this with the previous video on the Tiger one, but anyway. So here's an example of one in a sand color and one at the bottom, which is speculated to be in the olive green. And this book, which is Panzer Colors, this is #1 Squadron Signal Publications. These are by Bruce Culver, I believe. And it's Bruce Culver, Bill Murphy, and illustrated by Don Greer. You know, this book has been around for a while. There's a series of these, and they're very good. At least I find them to be very good. And they give you some good examples. And this book is basically just devoted to the color of the vehicles. There's another one that talks about divisional and tactical emblems that are on the vehicles. And then that's the yellow book. And then there's the green one, which talks specifically about like SS and Sturmgeschütz units and things of that nature, other units. But this one talks about different types of whitewashes and so forth as well. Let me get to North Africa here. Yeah, because as you see here, they're in the dark gray when they land in Tripoli in 41. And the first thing they ended up doing was just quickly covering things with mud. You can see that's what they're doing here. The top picture here near me shows you how they're doing that by quickly smearing some water and mud on the vehicle to get that dark gray covered up with something. All right, let's get on with it here. Okay. One thing that's not really shown here is this, in any of these sets, is this pea green color that they refer to in this book. You can see that these half tracks have an overspray, which is they're indicating that it is a pea green that they're using on this. Or gray green, sorry, gray green, I believe here. Gray greens, that might be one of these. Yeah, gray green. Okay. My bad. No, but this one, yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry for my confusion, because I know that pea green's mentioned, and it is right here. So, you see the bottom one, they're talking about pea green there. So these are different types of things that the Afrika Korps was using, and it speculates the different types of colors that they're using here. And even the cross hatchet is kind of interesting on this one. For those of you out there who like to brush paint. And I believe we get into our tigers. Here we go. And you'll see there's a different tinge of the browns, from brown and tan there, different types of colors. You can see that there's a distinct difference in the lightness and darkness of these vehicles. So what do they talk about here for... Yeah, so it says 1942, the scheme had been RAL 8020, which is the brown color in these sets. And then dark gray of 7027. Is that in these sets? Yes, it is. All right, so that's the 42 scheme, which is there. Also mentions in July 3rd of 1942, they authorized that brown and gray color also for vehicles that were on Crete. Let me back up a bit here. So there's a whole bunch of different ordinances or... Yeah. So for March of 1941, they were going with the RAL 8000, and a gray-green RAL 7008, which I believe are in these sets as well. Yes, 7008 is gray-green, and the 8000 is yellow-brown. So as to whether there was a lighter color in 43, for the last months of the fighting in North Africa. Let's see. I don't see anything indicating it here. Let's find out. $80-20 is mentioned, which is the brown. All right, so it talks about the Tiger E, for example, like we're looking at with that artillery kit. 501st Heavy Tank Battalion. The initial shipments of these vehicles were fitted with the tropical air filters, and they were painted for African service in an overall brown of RAL 8020, as were the replacement vehicles and equipment shipped during late 1942. And it must be noted, however, that the supplies of the new dark yellow paint were on hand in some of the tank and vehicle factories as early as December of 1942, getting ready for the new change in the paint colors of all German vehicles being painted dark yellow instead of Panzer gray. So that was starting to come online. So it is possible that some vehicles at that time went to North Africa in the dark yellow. So it's saying it's possible. And each factory began using the dark yellow paint as it became available, as the switch in 43 was coming. But it's saying it's most likely that the African brown was more likely the color that would have been on the Tigers, in that period of the fighting in North Africa. And it does mention that some of the Tigers of the 501st Battalion that we talked about, and some Panzer III Type N support tanks adopted a color scheme of olive green to better match the dark earth and green foliage of the area. But not all of them were painted like that, but it seems like a number of them were. Let's see if there's anything else here. Nope, doesn't seem to mention much more than that. Other than it captured a lot of American equipment that it ended up using before the surrender in May of 1943. So anyway, that's kind of a quick peek at how to paint tanks in Afrika Korps brown colors. And I'm going to look at one more book, which I think I put over here, which I think we looked at a little bit in our Tiger episode. Well, this book gets around. I mean, this is one of my favorites anyway. Let me get to where I need to be here. You know, the World War II Tank Encyclopedia. And again, there's a pretty good spread of these vehicles. You can see one that's in that olive green here, which would go with that artillery tank that we talked about previously. And another one up top here, which has the headlights set up like the artillery tank kit. And this one is in a going around, yeah, RAL 8000, which is an alternative because the olive green color is over here, which is, yeah, down here. And there's some other ones that you see that are in different different battle fronts. Yeah, most of these. If that's 501, 504 in Tunisia, yeah. And here's the one that's in Sicily that was mentioned in the artillery kit, but you notice the headlights are not on the front plate. Anyway, for those of you who watched that episode. And let's see, just take a quick peek and see if there's any. Yeah, some other colors here. There's the 8020 down there. And then you get some options here. The 8000, both of these 8000. Yeah, slightly darker browns. There, the Panzer III. Let's see if there's any examples of Panzer IVs. And then we'll call this video a day. Let's get on to Panzer IVs. And there's a series of them here in different North African colors on this page here, obviously. All right, so that's just an overview of different types of ways you can paint your German tanks for the African Sahara battlefront. And we saw some different manufacturers of paint for different options that you can use. All right, hope that was fun and entertaining, and we'll see you in the next video. All right, thank you. Bye.